Hello, everyone. I'm Pete Hegseth, along with Jedediah Bila, Juan Williams, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld.
That's me.
That's him. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Greg, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
A flurry of activity coming out of Washington, D.C. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell putting together a plan to avert a government shutdown after Democrats refused to budge on funding a border wall. Also, President Trump scoring a big win after the Senate overwhelmingly passes a criminal justice reform bill. He's ready to sign it into law once he moves through the House. And President Trump declaring victory internationally here against ISIS in Syria in a tweet, and announcing that 2,000 American troops will be withdrawing very soon. All of this, of course, happening as Democrats prepare an onslaught of investigations into President Trump and his administration. Dana, I'll start with you. This feels like a muddy moment.
So it's like the end of the year, get everything done type thing?
Very much so. So you've got this transition of power. You've got the president saying he wants a wall. He's going to shut it down if he doesn't get it. Now we're seeing a CR into February when Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House.
Yep.
Prison reform bill passes, but overwhelmingly bipartisan. And then this declaration that, hey, we've defeated ISIS. Time to leave Syria. A lot of questions about where that came from and how quickly that'll happen. What do you make of this dust cloud?
I'm going to take them one by one if I could, because I think there's some logic to them.
I prefer that you don't do it all at once.
Just like in one big paragraph?
Yes.
No parentheses, no commas, anything like, okay, I'll give that a shot right now. Okay, on the wall funding, I think that this is just a nod to reality. It was going to be very difficult to do this without having a shutdown of the government. I think the president didn't want that distraction over the next 2 weeks. It wasn't going to be possible to get the $5 billion. And I think that they just realized that we're going to have this fight another time. And it is just reality that
Why do you want to have it when the Democrats are in charge?
Well, just because they weren't going to be able to do it now. So it's almost like if he gave the direction to the agencies, like, let me know what money you have available. We might be able to reprogram it. Of course, the Congress is saying maybe you can't do that. But it sort of is like you can argue it round or argue it flat, because the Democrats are not saying they are not for any border security. They would be for border security. They just don't want him to call it the wall.
Yeah, why
it's
are
just
cameras
semantics
and fence moral, but a wall isn't?
Right. So there is that. And then on criminal justice reform, this is a big win for him. And sometimes Republican presidents can get things done that Democrats can't. This is a bill that was stalled during the Obama administration. It could not get through the Republican Senate. But President Trump put his shoulder behind it. So did Jared Kushner. But also give a hand to the Democrats who said we want to work with him. It's that important. Sometimes issues take so long to work its way through, and the public has to come along. It takes a little while to do that. This is a big win, and it will help a lot of people. So that's good. On ISIS, I think that one it's certainly the president's prerogative. It does seem curious. I think we'll probably hear a lot more about it, and I hope he's right. But
yeah, I think we all hope he's right.
Experience has shown us it's not true.
If ISIS has been decimated, but if you were not there, Iran still is, Turkey still is, Russia still is.
And so then all of your other priorities get a little bit washed up.
Don't you think it's interesting, though, that so much he's pulling out this libertarian muscle all of a sudden with the criminal justice reform? Everyone was saying, oh, that reflects that the libertarian wing of the Republican Party is strong. Also, when you talk about Syria withdrawing the troops, I think it was a different side of him, and it was a side that he campaigned heavily on. I remember when he was campaigning, hearing him talk about, his involvement in potential war, or that was something. I have a strong libertarian streak that kind of attracted me to him, and I wonder if that part of the party, the Rand Pauls, the Mike Lees, have put a little bit of pressure on him to not go so hawkish and to try to get some of these things done that they feel will appeal more to not only them, but also to independent voters, to people in the center, to younger voters. As he looks forward to, his next run, he's going to need a lot of those people in the middle who might be attracted to policies like this.
It will be a nice thing for him to be able to say in 2020, hey, we passed criminal justice reform. I'm the president for everybody, the forgotten men and women in prison, too, who had sentences that didn't fit the crime. Is this a win? Is this the win for the president on that issue?
Yeah, it's interesting to me because from what we hear, Jared Kushner has been the guy who's putting himself out there. I think a lot of people feel as if they've been talking and just stumped by the presence of Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, who refused to move on this, and then Mitch McConnell, who wouldn't call a vote. Mitch McConnell changed his mind and went along, but the president and the White House have been in favor of this all along. And so, yes, in that sense, you could say it's a win for the president.
Do you feel like Democrats, Are they finding a groove? We talked about these investigations. Is that going to be what they're sort of known for in 2019 as we look forward into the new year? Are they going to focus on any legislation, or it will? I mean, the list of investigations: Trump's tax returns, tax organization, his business interests, Ryan Zinke, members of his cabinet. Elijah Cummings sent 51 letters to the White House recently, demanding that by middle of January there's answers on all this stuff. What will define Democrats in the new year?
Well, I think for Democrats, it will be all about trying to get something done. But I think this will be a part of it because so much of everything we talk about, Pete, is President Trump. And right now, his troubles are mounting. I mean, the closing of his foundation here, so much of it is just everything Trump is news. But in fact, I think what you're going to see, especially from Nancy Pelosi and House leadership, is an emphasis on showing voters that, guess what, our party is able to succeed and to reach solutions, get things done for you. Like, for instance, when we talk about this wall, I mean, President Trump said, oh, you know what? Mexico's going to pay for it. That's what he campaigned on, right? Then he said, oh, the military will build it, right? And then he said, oh, no, I'll find the money. We're going to get the... And obviously, it was never going to get done.
Well, I don't think that was an obvious, but I mean, I think you're pointing out. No, I think you're pointing out some fair moments where that has been hedged upon.
But I will say this to you. On Syria, I am stunned. It looks to me like we have flipped identities. The Republicans are the ones, Lindsey Graham and others, saying this is a huge Obama-like mistake. And then you go and you listen to the
Democrats. At least they're consistent.
I'm sorry?
I mean, at least they're consistent.
Lindsey Graham is consistent on this issue.
But then you hear people, I'm looking to hear Ted Lieu, the congressman from California, Robert Ford, who was Obama's first ambassador to Syria, saying U.S. has no national interest. But I think it's obvious that the Iranians and the Russians continue to prop up Bashar al-Assad. And we remember Trump going after the red line and all that. And we still have troops in Afghanistan and elsewhere. I don't understand what he's doing.
Well, no, this is remember during the campaign, he ran on, we've been nation building in the Middle East for too long. It's time to come home. This is an extension of that. The question is, who fills that vacuum? And Greg, I want to go to you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're right.
I was ready to go get a glass of water.
Dana said the wall. Is it a nod to reality, or is that a compromise? Did he give in to Nancy Pelosi? Are they winning on this?
I don't know. Too soon to tell. I want to take all of these issues separately. Okay. Number one.
I want you to put them all together.
No, I'm going to put them. Damn it! I'm going to put them. Number one. We all think this is big news because the really big news isn't happening, which means the country's in pretty good condition. We have low crime. We have a lot of optimism. So now we have all these little things. And the reason why it's all about Trump is because the media makes it all about Trump. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If there was no Trump, God help us all, right? What would we be talking about? Anyway, prison reform, okay? I kind of get the sense that this is the miscongeniality award. Right? This is like, oh, finally something good. I have mixed feelings about this. I look and I think we're into our 4th decade of decline in violent crime. This is the safest society known to mankind. Do you necessarily reform something that is this successful? Having said that, I read the reforms. I think they're fairly moderate. I don't see anything. It's affecting 10%. Federal inmates, 10% of the prison population. It's focusing on a portion of that. There's like 2,500 other prisoners that can apply for some kind of early release. So it's actually fairly small steps. The key is the training, right? To get inmates to learn something so that when they get out of prison, they don't end up back in prison. And I think that's an important piece to this, and that's the positive part about this. But my overall observation on this is, you got criminal justice reform. You got actual gun control. He banned bump stocks. We're pulling out of Syria. The deficit keeps growing. I'm pretty sure we have a progressive in office. I mean, he said this 3 years ago. Trump is a centrist. He's a pragmatist. You can't guess which way he's going to go. He's not an ideologue, and it's weird to see the Democrats back to the wall. It's weird to see the Democrats not cooperating with this guy when he did prison reform, right? When he's pulling out of Syria. He wants the wall. What will he give you? He will give you what you want. So it's clearly about being an obstructionist. That's the Democrats.
Yeah,
the Democrats are the rules.
Are you kidding? After Obama, you now are going to say that it's the Democrats who are obstructionists?
Yes.
That takes a lot of power.
No,
Wow.
I think you're right, though. I think he proves that he is willing to reach across the aisle. And
Syria might be part of that, too.
If you listened to him campaigning back in the day, this is the stuff he was saying. Everybody wants to paint him as an extremist because when it comes to the issue of immigration, he's really hard on the wall and then securing the border. But on other issues, he will find middle ground with Democrats.
I thought he said he was going to get rid of the deficit, which has has skyrocketed.
The House Freedom Caucus will be on the floor tonight saying
also-
no deal on the wall here is a bad deal for the president.
Trump is flipping people in their beliefs. So you have Democrats complaining about the deficit and Republicans complaining about.
They did that to George Bush.
Yeah.
It just matters who's like whichever president's in power, the out party.
Yeah, I just think
complains
that
about the deficit.
you know the old news is you run to the right, govern in the middle. Clinton ran to the left and he governed in the middle. That's what's happening.
We'll see. But the Syria one's a big one. Keep your eyes on that.
I'll
that
respond to
goes sideways,
that.
that's going to be on him.
It just may be that he was like this with Iraq. He is stingy about American bloodshed.
Yeah. Well, and for good reason.
Yes.
How long have we been in
all right.
Afghanistan? Oh.
Wait
Since
for that.
fateful
That
day.
announcement's coming.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Facebook facing new backlash after yet another privacy scandal. What Facebook reportedly did with your data, coming up ahead.
Facebook under fire again. A stunning report in the New York Times says the embattled social media giant gave other big tech companies much more access to your personal data than previously disclosed. Documents reportedly show it allowed companies like Netflix, Spotify to read users' private messages. And search engine Bing was able to see the names of almost all of users' friends without permission. Facebook denying it did so without consent, saying, quote, "To be clear, none of these partnerships or features gave companies access to information without people's permission, nor did they violate our 2012 settlement with the Federal Trade Commission." Greg, you keep up with this stuff. What do you think?
Okay, I want to. Why is this happening? Facebook has been able to operate in this manner because of the permanent status as an unknown quantity, right? No, you can't actually define what it is, so it just keeps rolling along. And you know that old line, it's easier to ask forgiveness than to beg for permission? That's their mission statement, because you don't know what they are. They just make the mistake and go, whoops, that was an accident. But of the three major social media platforms, they are the least bad of the three. Google has turned your desires into a commodity. They're selling your searches to the highest bidder. They pretend to be a charity. Here, use our product, but then it's actually theft. They're stealing you, and they're selling you. And then Twitter, is a message board run by seriously stupid, naive people, who basically operate solely on target shaming. Twitter is now designed to isolate and hurt people. So of the three, I would say Twitter is the worst, number one. Google is second. And Facebook, they're just making mistakes along the way.
All right, and Dana, let's talk the politics of this, because remember back in March, Facebook got in trouble for giving data to Cambridge Analytica that allegedly was used to help President Trump's campaign. They made a deal. They said to the Federal Trade Commission, we're not going to mine this data without people's permission. But if you go on there, nobody reads these agreements when you go click agree.
That is the consumer is making a decision about that. And part of this is that Facebook is not a technology company. It started as one, right? But then how are they going to make money? They make money by selling ads. What other kind of companies sell ads? Media companies sell ads. And so I think that politically that's where this is headed. And it's going to come from the right and the left. This is where you might actually see a lot of bipartisanship. They have different issues. The right's concerned about some of the censorship issues. The left is going to say they're concerned about privacy. But right now, at this moment, the Democrats are having a big fight about their list and who's going to be able to have access to it. Why? Because information about people is really important. Marketing. If you subscribe to a newspaper, guarantee that you're on a list somewhere, so that they know, okay, well, that you could share it with others, and that's how you get the phone calls that you used to get, or things like that. This also does remind me a little bit, though, of the NSA surveillance program that everyone was up in arms. So yes, it is possible that you could surveil everybody and everything, and they could listen to all of your phone calls. But you know what? They have a job to do. So they were looking for actual intel on things so that they could prevent threats. What if Spotify and Netflix and those guys need to do? They need to make money. So are they reading all of your personal messages because they really want to know something deeply personal about you? I'm not saying that it's right. I just think this article is a little bit overwrought.
Well, so Pete, the thing is, they do mine your personal data in
Yes.
order to advertise to you. But at the same time, they know everything about Pete. That's what Greg was saying. They could know every odd interest you have, even some that you
Every
don't want.
perverted desire you search for.
Hey,
Pete.
stop. Hey, are you kidding?
Guilty.
Yeah.
But then I say, what alternative does every other American have? I mean, really, it's either
there are new companies that you
tried.
pay to use, and you get paid. If your information is used, you get paid. That's the future.
Great thing. That is the future. I'm talking about alternatives to the usage of Facebook.
Right.
Some people will do that. Many won't. That's why most people throw their hands up on stories like this and go, I assume someone's got a lot of my data. Nothing I can really do about it, but I really want to check on my grandchildren, so I'm going to log back on and keep watching. So it doesn't have that. To me, it's the censorship issue. I mean, Bibi Netanyahu's son, who's a conservative in Israel, just got banned from Facebook. If his son can get banned from Facebook, these guys are cooking the books on the algorithms to go after conservatives. It's only going to get worse. That, to me, is the concern. Privacy is a big one, too.
But privacy is a big one.
Yes.
So Jedediah,
I mean,
I think that's where most people are. I understand your concern about if they're going after the one political group or not another, but we don't know for sure, but you're worried about it. But privacy, I just think people who do what Pete was talking about, checking on the grandkids, don't think, oh, they're going to sell pictures of my grandkids and information about how often I contact or visit.
Yeah.
People think that's wrong.
That's the thing. You don't know when you sign on to this site and you're looking at everything and family. You don't realize that stuff is being shared with a third party. They're not transparent about it. And what you said before about checking a box that says I agree, for example, that's not how it works a lot of times. A lot of times you are automatically plugged in to have your stuff shared. You have to go in and say, I do not agree, and people don't realize that they have to opt out. Facebook's been in trouble for a long time, not just for targeting ads and things to, at one point it was minors, it was like 14-year-olds, and they got in trouble for that, but also they used a bunch of people as test robots to see if they could manipulate your emotions at one point. There were, I researched this for my book because this privacy stuff drives me crazy.
You have a book?
And they would, hashtag do not disturb. Thank you, Greg. You will be getting your check at the end.
I love the chapter about Kyle.
Again, you got to disrupt my train of thought.
I know.
Salacious
Everybody read
stuff.
the chapter about Kyle in her book. What's the title of the book? Hashtag
Do
Do
Not
Not Disturb. It's a
Thank
great book.
you.
Read the chapter about Kyle.
Anyway,
they manipulate people's emotions. They show you pictures, for example, of happy stuff, and they say, well, is this going to make people respond by wanting to go vacation in Bermuda or whatever? Are we going to be able to manipulate the way they feel by showing them certain content or not? That's been going on for a long time.
I just don't see how that's different from what advertisers have done forever.
But
you know what?
Don't know it.
You know what? You should be paid if they're taking
okay with that.
if they're taking
Yeah.
you, and they are taking you,
Yeah.
and they're targeting you, and
the
you should have a
I
choice.
just think it's
And the
more
transparency.
personal than ever. The kind of information they have that they know about you, Pete, and me, and Jedediah is more extensive.
Think about
than
me,
ever.
Juan. Think about the stuff I'm
about you.
hiding.
Well, no.
We don't want to think about that.
All the
Because-
unicorn photos.
You are Mr. Transparency. Up next, could a new poll about political correctness cause trouble for Democrats looking to take on Trump in 2020? That's next, right here on The Five.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. And I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Well, a majority of Americans are now agreeing with President Trump that political correctness has gone too far. 52% now saying they're against the country becoming more PC and are upset that there are too many things that people can't say anymore. Should 2020 Democrats pay attention to this warning sign? Greg, I say all the time, I think this is one of the reasons he got elected. People are so tired of not being able to speak their minds, having to bite their tongues. It's the most dangerous time in the world to be a comedian. What do you think? Do Democrats have to worry about this?
I am alarmed. 52% is not a lot.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And I saw it said 37 or 38 in favor, so there was some other middle ground there. Here's the danger about the concept of political correctness is that it morphs. It's the whole point of it is that it's constantly changing and progressing over time. It expands like the blob. So what happens is something that was acceptable 2 years ago is not acceptable now, so they dredge up things that you said 2 years ago and throw it in your face. It's positioned as a safety blanket, but now it's been spread over culture, and it's suffocating real speech. The only solution to this, and also the one scary thing about PC, if you forgive somebody for doing something that's considered a violation of the PC thing, you are an accessory to the racism or sexism or homophobia or transphobia that has occurred. So you can't even, PC thinking eliminates the concept of forgiveness, which is how our civilization is built, is on people making mistakes. So the solution here is what I've said before is people have to share the risk, right? Comedians, writers, artists, talk show hosts, when they see somebody like Mika or whoever do something stupid, you don't take out the pitchforks and the torches. You forgive their apology and you move on, because that's the only way that you're going to reduce the hysterical histrionics.
Yeah.
Yes, that we now are paralyzed by. Companies in fear because somebody's going to come after you. It's terrible.
But it's not just that. The challenge is it's not just fear of what you might say now. It's fear of what you may have ever said ever.
Yeah.
That now you have on Twitter and all that stuff. I actually thought I was impressed with the numbers, just because when you look, it's Republican men, women, Democratic men and women. All four of them are coming forth and saying they feel they can't speak their minds the way they used to, which means at least in everyone across party lines, it's registering like, hey, I got to walk on eggshells here.
But I wonder what the age breakdown is. I would love to see that the crosstab on that, because I imagine that it's people like maybe us and older.
It's over 30,
right?
actually.
Right, it's over 30. Okay,
Yeah.
so
There's a lot of young kids who don't believe in freedom of speech.
That's right. That's scary.
they,
To
want,
answer your
they,
point,
don't, they don't like that.
those who were more in favor of more PC were Democrats, adults under 30, African Americans, and small city and
So
suburban women.
it's interesting. I mean, you're talking about for re-election. Should Democrats think about that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe for this term, this 2020 election, but in 2024, millennials are now the largest voting group.
Yeah.
They're surpassing baby boomers. The Generation X is pretty small, and unfortunately, you can't tell a joke to a millennial. I mean, it's pretty funny that they think that The Office is hilarious,
Yeah.
right? Because that's kind of non-PC.
Yeah.
They like The Office.
actually. Isn't there a difference, though, between cultural sensitivity and cultural hypersensitivity? Like,
Yeah.
you can be sensitive without going so far that it's preposterous.
Of course, I watch
Exactly.
episodes of The Office now, which I love, and I say they would never air that today.
Yeah.
Never, ever
Yeah.
again. To your point about the evolving blob, it never stops. Now, Trump has served as a huge shield for a lot of people who felt stifled. They're like, he can stand up and say Pocahontas. He can say it, I can say it. Culture should introduce that. We should be okay with that. To me, problem is only the surface of the, or speech is only the surface of the problem. It's the institutions that then institutionalize that. So your K through 12 public schools and your colleges and your elite media and your churches and your movies and your social media, pretty soon now you're litigating Christmas and the flag, and you wondered, how did I get here?
Right.
And it's been totally infected on the left. One, I'll say 55% of those identified as Democrats favor more political correctness. So your party's saying, we want more of this.
Well, but listen for a second, think about it. What you see is the strongest proponents of we're too politically correct are white men, older white men. It's unbelievable. It's like 2/3 of them say, oh, this political correctness is terrible, it stinks. But then you start asking about people who've been denigrated in the past, like blacks, and they say, oh, no, we don't like it. And not only that, it's so interesting to me, 70% in this poll said things are worse in terms of civility under President Trump, that Trump has now emboldened people to say whatever they want about whoever they want.
Yeah, but I would say African Americans should have the ability to, black Americans should have the ability to be offensive and politically incorrect too. I mean, ultimately that becomes...
Yeah, that's the way forward. Everybody should have the right to be offensive.
Yes.
Everybody should have the right to be insulted and to insult.
Right.
If you take the opposite tact and say, my feelings need to be protected, that's an impossibility across the board. Not everybody can be protected, and you will have these issues and the divisiveness. But if everybody said, you can offend me as much as you want, and I can offend you, we're equals. We're brothers.
And then we should take Dan Crenshaw's example.
Yes.
Right? We remember that Dan Crenshaw goes on Saturday Night Live. Now they're friends, I guess, with he and Pete Davidson. He's trying to help him out when he's in a tough time. And everyone said, oh, that's the model that we should follow. So let's do that.
Everyone says that and then does the opposite. Or you defend your team, but when it's somebody on the other side, then you gotta,
But I think it's progress when we stop bullying and name-calling, demonizing other people. I don't like...
The left never does that.
I don't think you want to be overly sensitive. Let me be clear.
You can make jokes
But
about
I
that.
don't think that it's good that, back in the 50s, you could say this about a woman and say...
We're talking about... I'm talking about language. I'm talking about the silencing language on campus. I'm talking about how it's spreading into a dangerous place.
Yep.
You wrote a book on this.
Yeah, I don't like political correctness.
Yeah.
I'm a big free speech advocate, but do I think that, for example, you and I talking about gay people is different in 2018 than it would have been in 2000? Yes, Greg.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It's probably good.
I would agree.
100%. All right, well, package thieves messed with the wrong guy. The sparkly surprise that has porch pirates retreating coming up next.
What's Christmas without some vigilante justice? Around this time, the media floods the airwaves with sentimental dreck designed to ease the guilt of self-obsessed hosts who, for one moment, take 30 seconds to coo about giving back before they go home and scream at the maid. I described everyone, which is why I go out of my way to find Christmas stories that do the opposite, like this one. It stars former NASA engineer Mark Rober, who decided to punish people who stole packages from his front porch. Using his extensive background devising unusual machines, he booby-trapped some fake packages and then left them outside for thieves to take. These harmless but highly devious packages contain exploding packets of very fine glitter, as well as a stink bomb that goes off after the glitter explodes. Also inside, he has camera phones that will capture the mayhem. So like clockwork, after putting the packages out on a few porches, they were stolen. And this is what happened.
Stink bomb?
What the What's that smell? Ooh.
Dude, look at my car, dude. Everything.
Now that's a Christmas gift that keeps on giving. I could watch that forever. But more important, it's a gift with a lesson. A risk of punishment can reduce crime, especially if you think the package you steal might blow up in your face. And that's why that makes my Christmas a little bit brighter. Sometimes a lump of coal can bring a little light and joy to our holidays.
Genius.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
Now, do you think, Dana, that he could be sued for that?
No.
No?
I hope not.
I don't know. What
I mean, oh my
Mental-
gosh. Maybe in California.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this though, because it's like now, like people, Pete, they'll think that they'll think twice about opening a package.
The credible threat of being glittered.
Yes.
Like that's what it takes.
That's what it
I
takes.
wonder how much this may.
That guy's car is destroyed.
You can't get glitter. I, for a fact, know that you can't get glitter out. It's once it's there, it's there because you can't even a vacuum. You can't get it out. It's terrible.
Yeah. No.
Why do you have so much experience with glitter?
Well, I used to strip part time.
Makes sense. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, back in the red-eye days, when I had to make ends meet, so to speak. Crime is always.
Don't mention me in connection with because I just happened to be watching when you started. I left. I left the party at that point.
You know, this is kind of like, you know how people have alarm system stickers on their windows or an NRA logo or beware of dog?
Yeah.
This is kind of a way to dissuade crime. Like, I like what this guy is trying to do.
Yeah, I love it. But you know what's the real disincentive would be your neighbors.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing is that lots of older people who are home during the day are now the anti-porch pirates.
Yeah.
Because they have cameras on the cell phone and they will watch for you. Now, my wife, for example, is home a lot, so then the kids tell her to come over because they're having a package delivered, or they have the package delivered to our house so they don't put anything out there for the porch pirates.
This is the downside of Amazon delivery or something ends up your porch. I want to show you some tape, Jedediah. Take a look at this tape. This is a man trying to steal a, look at this. This is pretty brazen, a flat screen TV. But whoops, he falls.
Yeah.
And but you know what? Through a lot of effort, he still tries, and then he has a hard time getting it up and then over into the car.
Yeah.
I believe his name is Kyle. And he's trying to get it in there, and it's not working out.
Oh, that's not working out. No.
I think, is that a flat screen, or is that...
It's a
that's a
flat
flat
screen
screen.
TV.
Wow, you got to have some nerve. Middle of the day,
Middle of
cars
the day.
passing by. That's somebody with some
Yeah, this
sense
is
of...
Yeah, look at it. He can't get... He's trying to get it in there.
He's acting like he picked it up from the Home Depot. Like he's like nothing happened.
Look at it. What's he going to do? And you know what? Nobody is... Like, there's nobody there.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
I
problem.
think probably everybody works and goes to school.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to slow down and make it look like you're the homeowner
Right.
trying to put it in.
You know what? He's working so hard. Imagine if he had worked that hard hard on a job.
He could have bought his
I
own.
know.
budget.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't have any ethics and think they can take advantage. Look at it.
Oh,
He
he's
has to
still going.
drive up with the door is open.
Hanging out the
The door
They
is
will be
open.
able to
No
get his
shame.
license.
By the way, I want to delight you by telling you that San Francisco, Seattle, and Minneapolis, #1 for porch pirates. I know you don't like San Francisco.
Yeah, well, you
Minneapolis.
know. Well, you know
happens
what?
a lot,
There are other
too.
things on porches on San Francisco that they're dealing with.
Don't-
Porch poo. All right. Did I already ask you, Jedediah?
No, it's all right.
All
I'm
right.
too busy talking about Kyle's.
Kyle. Yeah. Everybody should buy Jedediah's book. It's fantastic. Read about Kyle. Stay right there. Wildcard Wednesday is next.
And now a brand new edition of this.
I do not attack you. I do not attack you.
So we each chose a topic and put them in this hat. None of us know the stories each other picked, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so we each have a topic here, and I'm going to pull one out.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Man sentenced after video showed him entering a convenience store with a live alligator. Take a look at this video of this guy.
second.
Right? So he takes this alligator through.
Oh, I remember when this
right?
video came out.
Okay. Were you here?
I think I was.
Yeah.
No,
and
you
so
were-
he got sentenced. He pleaded no contest to one count of animal cruelty and 2 counts of fish and wildlife conservation violations.
What did you
Sentenced
call
to
him?
2 days in jail per charge to run concurrently with each other. I think we have some video of that.
Here he is chasing people around with a reptile,
Oh my
even
gosh.
going into the walk
what
and
an
with it.
Yeah, that was it. Were you here for that, Pete?
I don't know. Maybe it was Fox and
No,
Friends.
you
I
would
don't know.
remember.
But anyways,
remember
he
the
had-
video.
He got some punishment, rightly
Good.
so.
That poor
6
alligator.
days, it sounds like.
Don't say
poor
poor,
people.
poor
The alligator was being mistreated.
Oh, my
clearly.
goodness. He would eat
Used
you
as
first.
a pawn.
He pleaded no contest to 1 count of animal cruelty in her defense.
Okay, whose
you
story was
go.
that?
A couple
It was
days in
mine.
the slam.
fantastic.
Yeah, because I thought, okay, let's choose another one here. Fresh Prince star Alfonso Ribeiro sues Epic Games Fortnite over alleged use of Carlton dance.
Yes.
Whose is this?
Mine.
Okay,
So
so
take a
this
look.
is-
Here he is. This is. You can see this is Fresh Prince, and then on the right side there, you can see what the video
it's really
games are
copied.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Carlton is stolen from Courtney Cox from the Bruce Springsteen
Concert.
Remember?
So this is-
remember?
We're
Dan-
friends.
But this is where
something with
he's
fire.
dancing
You
on
can't
Dancing
start a
with the
fire
Stars.
song, whatever.
So he did it both places. So he thinks it's his dance.
Is it a
Greg.
copyrighted dance?
Well, no, but it's identified with him, and they're not paying him anything for taking his
So do you-
moves.
how do
Dance it in the dark. That's what
How
it
do you
is.
think this is going to go? Is he going to get some money?
Can
He
you
might. He
trademark
made that
dance
dance
moves?
famous.
Well,
I don't know. You want to try one?
I can't do the Carlton. Can anybody? I would do it if I could do
You
the
could totally
floss. I
do
got
it.
kids, you know. I
you
can
can do
the
the floss.
floss?
Well, do it, man.
Wow.
I'll do
No.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
Don't.
it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah,
This is something that will
I'm
always
tired.
This will
be
always be,
replayed.
okay.
This is going to be replayed.
Yeah, there you go.
What's happening?
That's
That doesn't
great.
look as
This
hard
isn't
as
Fox
it
and
is.
Friends. We don't try to do any activities.
All right. Here's the next one. This is exactly how long you have to make a good first impression. A new study finds you have 27 seconds, with 70% of people forming a first impression of someone before they even speak.
That's mine, and I think 27 seconds is too long. I formed my first 5 seconds. I have you all figured out. You got to have the eye contact. You got to
a lot
smell
of pressure.
good. You got to. There's a lot of pressure, but don't you think 27 seconds?
How
By
many
that time, I'm
seconds do you
either
need?
bored.
To me, it's always going to be about breath. That's the first thing that hits you.
Yep.
And it's like,
And you know that in
and
1
you know what?
second.
It doesn't matter how attractive somebody is or anything. If there's a breath issue, you just have to like walk away.
You know, smell was not on that list, but you
No,
and
it is.
Jedediah.
It is. It's
Oh, it
one
is?
of the
I
top
I didn't see it there.
contributors.
Okay, but I mean, most people don't have bad breath, so that's not a fear thing.
You'd
Yeah,
be
or if you
surprised.
ate something.
But if you're our height,
Garlic.
you notice it a lot.
I've always given people the benefit of the doubt too much. So it'd be like
You're so nice.
minutes for
Your
me.
problem is that you're
because
too
I'm from
nice.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
where we're all like,
Oh, yeah.
That could be a
everyone's
problem for
okay.
you, Pete.
All right,
No,
here's
it's
one
been
more.
a problem,
Inside the
Greg.
CIA's top secret otter dossier, a newly classified file from the CIA's project MK Ultra isn't about dosing unsuspecting people with LSD. Instead, it's about otters. Is this yours, Greg?
Yes.
What is this
So
talking about?
I picked this so we could just show tape of otters, but instead we're showing the dossier. Okay, otters are okay, the CIA was going to test otters because otters are amazing animals.
Slow down, slow down.
Otters.
Test them by giving them drugs?
No. They were testing them for like like for spying because they can move, they can swim, they can get on the ground. The only problem is they don't like to be held captive, but they're incredibly lovable. They're almost almost they could be domesticated if they could stay in one place.
Animal
but they're very friendly.
Animal cruelty.
Okay, they said I
Greg.
have time for one more. Popeyes launches emotional support chicken carrier at Philadelphia Airport for a limited time. You can have, oh my gosh, an emotional support chicken carrier when you purchase
There it
a
is, right
three-piece
there.
chicken tender combo.
Yeah, yeah.
You love this, Pete.
I do, because I think the proliferation of emotional support animals that are not just like dogs is out of control.
Yeah.
Like emotional support
Alligators.
alligators and guinea pigs and rabbits, and everyone's got something on the
Ponies.
plane now.
Do you know that
pony? Come on. So there's, and you can eat you can take dead fried chicken for your emotional
You
support. and
guys
it'll
are
probably
Debbie
work better.
Downers, man. Debbie
You
Downers.
know, it is a scam for a lot. I mean, there are people that really need it, but there are people that get scammed. You know,
There's both,
my
yes.
friend, a comedian, Andrew Schultz, he orders chicken omelets so he can enjoy 2 generations.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Although, I don't know, if you put chicken sauce.
Thank you.
Never
for your
heard that.
facial
That's amazing.
expression.
Yeah, it's a terrible
I think we better go. One more thing is up next.
Back. It is time now for one more thing. Dana, you're
Okay, so one of my favorite things at the end of the year is to look at Pointer's list of the best corrections, best newspaper corrections. So I've got 3 for you here. Here's one from the Veja, had to correct this. A correction for the ages by a Brazilian news magazine. The candidate likes to spend his free time reading Tolstoy and not watching Toy Story, as originally reported. Okay, they got that one wrong, but they corrected it. Okay, here's another one. The Wall Street Journal. An earlier version of this article incorrectly stated Benjamin Netanyahu said Moses brought water from Iraq. He said the water was brought from a rock. Okay, and the Morning Star correction. In yesterday's paper in Chris Cyril's Jazz Albums column, we incorrectly referred to Don Randell as a terrorist when it clearly should have been tenorist. We apologize for any offense. So anyway, those are fun.
Corrections are
Big
fun.
miss.
Yeah.
All right.
Greg, try to do better.
I will. It's time for Greg's Plugs. Those aren't my hair. It's just a funny thing. Okay, we got all new One Smart Person in Greg Gutfeld up at Fox Nation. The smart person is evolutionary behavioral scientist Dr. Gad Saad. We discuss all sorts of stuff from evolutionary theory to political correctness. You will love it. Also, I'm so excited. Chris Elliott has a new movie out. It's called Clara's Ghost. Why is this movie important? It stars his entire family, and it's filmed inside their house. And the plot is his wife only sees a ghost that they can't see. And it's actually brilliant that it's happened. So he decided he wanted to make a movie, but he didn't want to leave his house or get out of bed and have to go somewhere. So they just filmed the whole thing. And it premieres this month. It's on demand and in theaters. It's called Clara's Ghost. Chris Elliott, a legend, and his wife is the star of it.
Amazing.
Pretty cool.
Good idea.
Yeah.
One.
So this is for Greg. You know about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and his fellow reindeer clamoring on your rooftop. Well, what about Yogi Bear showing up for Christmas at your front door? Yup. Take a look at this video, Greg, because that's exactly what happened in Naples, Florida.
Bear, go away.
That there are bears in Naples, Florida?
Yeah.
Bear, go
Looks like Alec Baldwin. Very hairy.
He rang the doorbell.
Anyway, yeah,
He's very polite bear.
The curious bear knocks down the Christmas decoration, chews off the wooden snowman's head, and rings the front doorbell with its nose. But as you heard, the homeowner saw the bear through the front door security camera. He told the bear to go away. Thankfully, the bear did no damage done. The bear was no porch pirate, by the way. He didn't take anything, Greg. Didn't get glitter or a stink bomb.
No glitter for that bear.
Oh, he was just hungry.
Oh, stop it. He'll tear you to pieces.
The whole ring thing can get very addictive, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you watch people at your front door.
Yeah, it's not good. And alerts come up all day, and you're looking at it. You're like, I should be working, and I'm watching the FedEx guy.
Yeah.
You know? Da-da-da.
All right, I have a video of a child that reminds me a lot of myself when I was a child. I got a bad reputation, but check this out, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so this little kid decides he doesn't want to take part in the Christmas performance, so he doesn't do it. He lays down on the floor. You know what? Maybe he's shy. I did that all the time. I got a lot of heat for it. I wasn't big into hanging out with other kids. I just kind of wanted to observe and watch. So you got to respect the shy. Look how cute he is. He doesn't
That
have
was
to
a terrible
participate if
video.
He doesn't want to. Listen, I didn't choose the video.
You didn't, yeah, whoever gave that to you, it's like there's nothing happened in that video. No
He
action,
just doesn't want
no
to
animals,
participate.
no nothing
Listen,
fun.
it's a cute kid and it's Christmas. Is
I
that
don't
not
think it
enough?
was cute at all.
It was, yeah, kind
Yeah,
of.
I was.
You wouldn't do that on Fox.
Go,
News.
Pete,
But I will
go.
say that Christmas programs reveal little kids' natural
Yes.
state very, very
Go,
well.
Pete,
Interesting.
Well, let's just roll the video. I liked the video. Thought it was kind of interesting. Watch.
Look at this. Look at
Oh,
this.
this is amazing.
It's
This Jedediah has a real video.
Oh my God!
so.
Wait, that's terrible.
It's a high-speed chase in Cumberland County, Maine.
Yeah.
This driver stopped because clearly this guy's been speeding. They put down a strip of nails or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy.
They shouldn't have done. They shouldn't have done the strip in a crowded street.
That's what I thought. Why
Yeah.
are you lining the street with cars, then putting the strip out?
Yeah.
You're like Jesse, always
Everyone-
showing ones where people are getting hurt.
It's just I've watched it on a loop, and everyone was okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
good.
Happy ending and a lawsuit.
That's right. All right. Well, set your DVRs. Never miss an episode of The Five. Special report up next.